Here, back with 6 of my favorite plays for big Monday night, including a struggling outfielder that's already been good to us, my favorite stack of the night, a mid-range starting pitcher that matches up extremely well with the opponent, and of course, my favorite play of the night. Who is it? Belly up to the Fantasy Barn. Find out. Welcome in, guys. Monday edition Beers Daily Fantasy 6-pack back here once again, talking FanDuel, talking Draftkings, and we are talking baseball. 6 of my favorite plays, as always, 5 hitters, 1 pitcher. Before we get into today's plays, guys, make sure you do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button on YouTube. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We got baseball, we got NBA videos going on, but that thumbs up, guys, means a lot, helps us out, and I greatly appreciate it. Now, let's dive into the plays here tonight. Let's start in the outfield. Aaron Hicks of the Yankees. That's right, we're going to go right back to the well here on Aaron Hicks. Had him the other night, and one of his only hits all season long pretty much, but did go yard for us. And I think this guy is only a matter of time before he gets going again. So, what's going to happen? People are going to look at those stats. We know the masses out there. And of course, not you guys, the friendly bar patrons, but a lot of people are looking at the numbers. The what have you done for me lately? They're not going to see a lot here with Aaron Hicks. So that should help us out in the ownership department. But we know this guy's numbers against righties outstanding. 355 WOBA last season. 268 was the ISO. And Jake Arrieta making his debut here this season. And things did not go well for Arrieta last season against lefties. 389 WOBA allowed, gave up some power as well. 221 ISO, just a 15% strikeout rate against lefties as well, and the hard contact rate, as you'd expect, north of 40%. So I like the Yankees here tonight. Really love this price on Aaron Hicks on FanDuel at just $2,700. Don't be afraid to pay that DraftKings price, especially if you're stacking the Yankees. Even if not, I think $4,400, perfectly fair here. The struggles will not continue. I think Aaron Hicks does this well here once again tonight against Jake Arrieta. All right, let's get to the infield here. Let's get you a power bat with first baseman Edwin Encarnacion of the White Sox. So another guy off to a very, very slow start to season, and I think things get going here tonight in this matchup. We'll dive into the numbers here against Mr. Anderson in a minute, but let's just take a look at E5 and top 10 in all of baseball last season with an ISO sitting at 349. The WOBA just shy of 400 at 398. So we know this guy has always hit left-handers very well. Taking that parrot for a ride, and I think that's what happens here tonight. Going to call the home run shot here against Anderson, and I know, great ground ball pitcher here, does a good job with that, but a lot of hard contact allowed at 44%, and loves to throw that sinker. That does not match up well here with E5. He does very well against that pitch. 374 weighted OBA and a 51% hard contact rate against that pitch. Again, calling the home run shot here. Very cheap price on E5, but I think that parrot goes for a ride here tonight against Brett Anderson. All right, let's stay on the infield. Next bat for us, shortstop Javier Baez of the Cubs. There's another guy, dominated lefties last season. 393 was the WOBA, ISO over 300 at 314. And if we look at the numbers to start this season, and yes, it's only 8 plate appearances, but both the ISO and WOBA over 700 for Javier Baez. Obviously, those numbers are going to come down, but it shows this is a guy that dominates left-handed pitching, also dominates fastballs. 374 WOBA last season against that pitch, and Danny Duffy uses that 42% of the time against right-handed hitters. And you guys know I love the pick on Danny Duffy. We're going to do it here with Baez. Gives up the lethal mix of hard contact and fly ball rate, both over 40% to right-handed hitters. If we just want to look at this season, 36 plate appearances so far for righties, and the fly ball rate this season at 54%. That's not good against a power hitter like Javier Baez. I think we get a home run here as well. Love this matchup for the Cubs. But Baez stands out as a bat I really want here tonight against Danny Duffy. All right, let's stay with the Cubs here, but not with another bat. We're going to go with starting pitcher Alec Mills against the Royals. Now, there's some big-name pitchers here tonight. And on FanDuel, you want to go that route, that's fine. On DraftKings, I think this is the way to go. If you grab one of those studs, pair them with Alec Mills, and off you roll. Hey, one of the biggest favorites on the board. Now, a lot of that has to do with the bats behind them, but that's fine. Let's get him some run support. Let's get him that W. First start, solid against Cincinnati. Nothing great, nothing to write home about, but did limit them to 2 earned runs, had 3 strikeouts. over 6 innings pitched. And we know it's pretty good Cincinnati lineup. This is not a very good Kansas City lineup. I know they've been hot early on in the season. They've been picking on the Tigers. Let's see what happens against a different team. But what I really like here, the matchup sets up extremely well for Mills against this team. This guy has been very, very good against right-handed hitters over the course of his career. Let's look at the numbers from last season. Only allowed a 232 WOBA, an ISO all the way down at 128, and the strikeout rate against right-handed hitters all the way up to 34%. So when you think about this Royals lineup, most of the good bats in here are from the right side of the plate with Merrifield, Soler, Salvador Perez, Franco. All the power, all the dangerous bats are on the right side of the plate, and gets a lot of ground balls against righties as well at 55%. Let's look at the projected lineup. We also have some strikeout upside here. 5 of the projected starters sitting with a K rate of 25% or higher against righties last season. Alec Mills, maybe not a household name, maybe not your favorite starting pitcher here, but I think the case was good. I think the matchup sets up very well here against the Royals. Mills is going to be a big part of my builds here tonight against the Kansas City Royals. All right, back to the bats. We got to get you a catcher. On DraftKings, we're going to go to Minnesota and go with Mitch Garver. So, like I said, lock and load, we have to use one on DraftKings. I know a lot of you guys like to go cheap there. I generally do as well. But when a matchup jumps off the page, I want to pay up and spend up and get this guy in my lineup here. And that's what I'm going to do on DraftKings. Now, using a catcher on FanDuel, not everyone's favorite thing to do, but I think that could be a contrarian option. And this guy's not your everyday catcher. This guy hits with some power and some authority against left-handed pitching. Let's jump into the numbers, and we see him finishing top 4 in all of baseball in both ISO and WOBA against left-handed pitching last season. Let's look at the pitches here. Holland loves to use that sinker against righties 58% of the time. 580 WOBA for Mr. Garver, 561 ISO against that pitch as well. So the matchup does not get any better here. Derek Holland, a guy I'm always going to pick against, but when I can load up my catcher here, a potential stack here. I love the Twins here tonight, and on FanDuel at only 2,500. Care if he's a catcher or not, get him in that spot. Got to use the utility on FanDuel if you're going to go with E5 and Mitch Garver here tonight, but I love them both. Garver, going to smash here tonight against Derek Holland. All right, it's time to take a look at my favorite play for Monday night. But before we do that, guys, we're going to run it back. The Beast of the Night contest. All you have to do, absolutely free to play, get in the comment section below the video and guess fantasy points on DraftKings for my highest scoring hitter. Does not have to be the Beast. It can be any of the 5 hitters. All you need, fantasy points there for the highest scoring hitter. Winner is going to get a free week of RotoGrinders Premium, or if you're already a loyal subscriber, and thank you for that, we're going to send you a free RotoGrinders t-shirt. All right, let's take a look. My favorite play for Monday night. You know, Mass, the Beast of the Night. All right, Beast time, and if you've been in a fantasy bar for a long time like I have, you already know where I'm going here. I said I love the Minnesota Twins. We're going with outfielder Nelson Cruz, tonight's Beast of the Night. And if you are new to the fantasy bar, you're going to see a lot of Nelson Cruz. Auto play for me anytime a lefty is on the hill. This guy has been very, very good to us over the years. First ballot, 6-pack Hall of Famer. I love to call Nelson Cruz, but let's dig into the numbers here. Power, we know, is always there. Been doing it forever. 461 ISO last season, continues to get it done, even at an elevated age. That number only trailed JD Martinez. We saw him in the 6-pack last week against left-handed pitching. To go along with a 476 WOBA against lefties. Holland, we know, we talked about that sinker already. Not as good at numbers as Mitch Garver, but pretty damn good here for Cruz as well. 421 WOBA, 295 ISO against that pitch. And Derek Holland, mashed by right-handed hitters, 407 WOBA and ISO over 320 here. Stack the Minnesota Twins tonight. It's not going to be a contrarian stack. People are going to be on it. I don't care. This is the spot you want to be on, especially in your cash games. Lock some of these guys in tournaments. Plenty of upside here for this stack. Even if you don't stack them, Nelson Cruz, easily my favorite play for Monday night and tonight's Beast of the Night. All right, guys, that wraps up here for Monday night in the Fantasy Bar. As always, any comments, questions, feedback, guys, the comment section is there for you. Don't forget, fantasy points for my highest hitter of the 5 on DraftKings. All you got to do is guess a number. You don't even have to guess a name for a chance at some free RG Premium or a free RotoGrinders t-shirt. Can also follow me on Twitter at BeerMakersFan. Love talking DFS with you guys over there as well. For RotoGrinders.com, I am Beer saying salut. Best of luck here tonight, guys. We'll be back with some NBA videos here midweek. We'll be back with baseball on Friday. A lot going on here in the Fantasy Bar, guys. Thank you for watching. Good luck tonight.
Hey, thanks for checking out our videos. If you want more expert advice on DraftKings, FanDuel, or any other daily fantasy sports, make sure you check out the current videos playlist.
What is going on, RotoGrinders? Dean here. It's Dean7904 if you want to get all technical on me. It's actually 5:31, 5:32 on the East Coast. Slight technical difficulties. Of course, that means just 2:32 on the West Coast and 4:32 Tennessee time, which, of course, means it's time for the flagship show here at RotoGrinders. It's called Grinderslive. Joining me today, three-man booth, batting first, leading off. I think this is your first baseball show this year, Kirk Dees. If it isn't, I missed your first one. I'm sure it was fabulous. You may know Kirk Dees from such things as absolutely smashing over at Yahoo. Maybe the Corona Club. Is that still a thing? I don't know. What's up, Kirk?
No, not really. I mean, we still got the core, the main original members. We talk in there. But, yeah, this is my first MLB show. Excited to be here with you and Stevie.
Are you still controlling the lobby there over at Yahoo? Because I've seen your balance. At least one time I saw your balance at Yahoo, and it was super, super impressive. Is that still a site you're absolutely dominating?
I definitely play there every day. And yes, it's been going very well. Always, it's my bread and butter over there.
Feel free to sprinkle in some Yahoo plays. Of course, we mainly talk, DK and FanDuel, and also we're gonna bring in Stevie. You guys know Stevie from such things as NASCAR and the Morning Grind. What's up, Stevie? How are things in your world?
Doing good. We have a lot of shows this month together.
We do.
Yeah, we do. No, we didn't get a lot of rain. I was recording the podcast last night with Cheese, and the tropical storm was right off the coast of Daytona, and it wasn't even raining here. So, we dodged that one. No issues with that one.
We think that's the reason why it's kind of working its way up the coast, though. We saw a pre-show Yankee game canceled. We kind of panicked for a second. Apparently, that's the game tomorrow night. Is that correct, Stevie?
Yeah, they sent out a second alert. I started to mess with my Yankee stacks, but tomorrow's game is postponed.
You like the Yankees tonight, huh? It's a Coors Field slate. We got not a full slate, obviously 8 games going down. I believe all are going to play, as far as we can tell. Of course, you want to confirm that with Roth on Crunch Time. Roth's articles are already out there. He'll probably be updating it. He usually does throughout the show at some point. But Kirky, is there anything big as far as weather? outside of his weather edge tool is telling us there's going to be some run suppression for the Cubs and the Royals tonight, especially from a home run perspective with the wind blowing in. Anything else as far as the weather we should be fully concerned about here, Kirk Dees?
I was going to ask you that same question, Dean. Everything looks pretty good to me on this end. You threw a wrench and everything when, or Stevie did, saying that the false alarm on the Yankees cancellation. That's for tomorrow for the big storm that's coming over the East Coast now. I think we're ready to go.
I was going to do a fancy screen share today with but turns out my computer got all funky. I mean, Stevie's going to jump in here, but I was going to show off. Stevie, did you use the weather tool, Weather Edge, the Ross weather tool? I kind of wrote up.
I do. I have it up.
Yeah, so the one that's jumping off the table, and it changed throughout the day. It got the sample shrunk, but you see the Cub game as far as the stats.
Yeah, I almost highlighted it in the extra survey today as well. But minus 54.4% for home runs and total runs down 13% with the wind blowing in from left. But yeah, I'm seeing reports anywhere from like 17 to like 22 miles an hour, and we know how much wind dictates Wrigley. So big difference today.
Yeah, I mean, the sample's not huge, but the wind blowing in should tell us that it's only 24 games as far as that sample, minus 54% as far as home run suppression. And hey, as an SB2 today, or even as I saw people talking in chat, what's up, chat? If you guys are watching us on YouTube, feel free to like and subscribe. We do appreciate that. Sprinkle in your questions throughout the show. I'll do my best to get to them. Of course, we'll save some time at the end to knock out as many as possible. But it's 13.5. Well, let's talk about it. Let's get the overall big picture before we talk about pitchers. Kirk Dees, do you have an official take as far as scores today? Is it good? Is it bad?
It's usually pretty good. Whenever I faded it that first night and for the Padres went off late in the end of the game. So it's like it always gets there this season so far. But it's the Giants, right? And they're like people are giving them a little bit too much credit because they started out pretty hot to start the season, saying, oh, they're really not that bad. I think they're still terrible. The problem is we've got some terrible pitching going on in Coors too as well. So I think the Rocky side looks pretty strong. The problem is the Chi-Chi is a guy that I'd like to stack against. I'm just not big on these Giants batters. I just think that I think Brandon Crawford and Brandon Belt are dust. So it's like I don't see the tons of home run potential. I mean, another dusty guy is Alex Dickerson, right? Can these guys hit homers? Yes, it can happen. But I'll bet against it tonight.
What about Chadwick Trump?
Yeah, what a name. What a great name. Chadwick. It just feels like a sophisticated lineup,
Yeah, he has an hors d'oeuvre before he goes up to the plate or something like that. But he's a
golf clap.
Yeah, and what I was talking about as far as I saw people asking about in chat, we'll talk about it as an SB2 or maybe an off the board pitcher for tournaments for FanDuel. I think both those guys in Chicago, KC versus Chicago are pretty interesting. We'll talk about them in a second. Steve, before we dive in, give me your thoughts as far as Coors today.
I like the Rocky side. I'm kind of with Kirkwood when we're looking at the Giants. I think Belt with his massive fly ball rate, against Chi-Chi, he's in play. But do you really want to play a one-off from Coors? So, I don't currently have a Giant stack out there. I do have a Rocky stack. I like that side a lot. I think they're in a great spot against Johnny Stinkquato, but that's about it.
Life comes at you fast, man. Mike Yastrzemski is 5.9K. I mean, I know he's on the road leading off, locked in for basically 5 ABs. He's been much more patient this year for what it's worth, but it's just weird to see him at 5.9K. Probably, I'd imagine, the highest he's been all year. And, hey, those Giants have been hitting well, Kirk Dees, because, that ballpark in San Fran's been playing differently too. So maybe that has something to do with it as well, as far as those bats being at least okay and competent. No Panda, no Sandoval today. Wilmer Flores gets the AB today versus the righty. All right. Let's do this before I dive in. I know you guys have yours queued up. The SharpSide app. First of all, Stevie, tell us what is the SharpSide app, and give us a winner if you're in a state that has legalized wagering, or a guy. Who we hitting up today? What team or what total? What do we have as far as a number that we're locking in?
I locked in the over on the Minnesota Pirates game. It was at 9.5 when I did it. I don't know what's at currently right now, but love Minnesota today. I think Pittsburgh could score a few runs too in this game. So I'm locking that in. Minnesota bullpen is good, so it wouldn't shock me if Pirates only score like 2 or 3 runs. But I think Minnesota can score 10 plus on the slate. So I'm gonna lock in the Twins. I got my streak up to 2. I lost it at the end of last week, so got it back up to 2, and ready to make it 3 here.
Yeah, Minnesota is interesting because especially in DK, there's a lot of cheap bats there. Some of them aren't very good, but Buxton's pretty cheap and Cave's pretty cheap, and the back end of that lineup is super, super cheap, and maybe that'll make them a little bit more popular. Who do you have, Kirk D's? Who you're locking in? Who's your swipe of the night?
Oh man, I forgot already. I think it was. I think it's the White Sox. I've got value on the White Sox tonight as a bet, an outright win bet. I think it was they actually moved to a slight favorite. I still like them. I think Rodon is going to put on a good performance finally. I think he's got the stuff. We always have to worry about control with him. He just it was kind of unlucky, and then he kind of melted down mentally in that last start, in his first start of the year against the Indians. They fouled off a ton of pitches against him. I was watching. I think his stuff looks good. They were staying away from anything with any kind of spin on it. I think a couple of adjustments, some control, and I think that he's perfectly capable of having some success against this kind of a watered down Brewers lineup who's not hitting that well to start off the year, at least with the guys like Christian Yelich. And we've got Ryan Healy making his MLB this new season debut, I think. Has he seen any play appearances up until now?
Stevie, I certainly haven't rostered him. I don't believe he has.
He got called up yesterday,
or
this morning.
I didn't even know he was still around.
He got called up because Braun got put on the IL and Kane opted out, so they called up Healy.
And they lost Moustakas. That's why their lineup looks so terrible. By the way, Curtis, you were talking about players that are dusty in that Coors game. I can't believe we're going to ignore Matt Kemp. He's not dusty.
Oh, he's dust, but then he freaking pounds the slate the other day. Homer went off with Daniel Murphy, who's not dust, and people think is dust. Made some swing adjustments, building up for this season. So I expect him to do pretty well in Coors. But Kemp, he's a little dusty.
He's only 35. I thought he'd be older for some reason. Man, there was a point where he was like a top 10 player in baseball. Am I imagining that? That happened, right? Top 10?
Yeah,
sure.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't have the definitive Siege rankings. I don't know if he was quite up there with the first baseman from the Marlins. What's his
Justin Bohr, yeah.
He was I don't know if he's quite up there with maybe he was right up there with Bohr.
Chris Bryant in the conversation as well.
Certainly.
All right. Let's talk pitchers, Stevie. Open it up. Two big arms, obviously, in the slate. There's a lot of good arms, but the two main ones, Jacob deGrom, I know he's your boy, Florida guy. And then we have Garrett Cole facing Philadelphia. And the Philadelphia one's weird because they haven't played baseball. They've not seen live pitching, I don't think, to my knowledge, maybe some batting practice. Since July 26th. They haven't played in over a week, I think. Welcome back to baseball. Here's Garrett Cole. Not a soft landing. I am distinctly on Cole over deGrom. Both are great. I think Cole's a better play for cash. For tournament, of course, if you want to play the ownership game, by all means, I imagine Cole will be slightly more owned or maybe more heavily owned. I've not looked at the ownership just yet. I kind of wait till the bell on that. Stevie, your take as far as Cole versus deGrom, do you need either one?
Do you need them? I think you need one of the two if you're playing cash games for sure. I think you play Cole and cash. I think your chalk combo is Cole, Montas, and cash. But I like Cole more than I like deGrom, for a lot of the reasons that you said. Philly hasn't played in a while, was it 3 or 4 days now? 5 days? So
I think the 26th day is the last time they played.
Yeah, so even better. So, and it's Garrett Cole. I like Jacob deGrom. I think that the matchup is tougher for deGrom against Atlanta, in Atlanta than Cole's matchup against the Phillies. So right now I am leaning Cole over deGrom. Phillies have the lowest implied team total too. I think it's like 3.1 or something. So it just all sets up for Cole. But like you said, the ownership game, we're looking at Garrett Cole 40%. We're looking at Jacob deGrom 18%. So, that's one of the reasons why you would take a shot at deGrom over Cole. They both have the same type of ceiling.
Right now, I have Cole in my FanDuel cash, and I do have Cole also in my DK cash as far as my SP1. There's enough savings, and we'll talk about a guy that's in the mid-tier, I think, a little bit. I don't want to say he's underpriced because he hasn't really performed, but he's got a nice matchup and plenty of upside as well. We'll talk about it in a second. It's Montas, spoiler alert. I'm sure we'll talk about him as a cash game SP2. Kirk Dees, you have a preference as far as DeGrom versus Cole?
Oh, it's I definitely prefer Cole, but he's like Stevie said, he's going to be extreme chalk tonight. He's probably going to be the second highest owned pitcher on the slate, but right up there with the guy that you were just talking about, Frankie Montas, who is just unbelievably cheap tonight over on DraftKings. But so Cole is definitely, you get the strikeout upside. He's facing the Philly lineup, who hasn't, who there's definitely strikeouts in that lineup. And like you said, they haven't, been hitting or doing much this past week with all the COVID stuff and whatnot. So you have to like him. DeGrom is an interesting GPP pivot, right? But the problem is he's still even 600 more. They're both overpriced for this point of the season. It's a tough matchup. I still think DeGrom can get it done in any matchup when an ace is on, and it doesn't really matter who they're facing. But I think this might be a hot take, but I think if I'm trying to do a GPP pivot off of Cole, I think I'm more comfortable going to Walker Buehler with a shorter pitch count, facing against the Padres, who might be coming off of that Coors hangover, coming back, and there's definitely strikeouts to be had. I think he can have some really efficient innings, as opposed to DeGrom, who may have tougher guys to work against with the Braves.
Yeah, my issue with that is DeGrom, I think, has the ability to throw 100 pitches. I don't think Buehler has the ability. He's not going to go beyond like 80. Buehler, his first game, he went 3 2/3, 56 pitches, Stevie. I expect Buehler to throw about 75, maybe 80-ish. I can't see much more than that. I don't think I'm going to get there. He has to be. Now, it's possible he can have, one of those games you go 4 innings and strike out 9 guys. That's absolutely possible. It's in the cards, but it's really thin. Glasnow did it not too long ago. A few less pitches with the same kind of point there. Stevie, I'm not playing enough lineups. I just can't justify Buehler, especially with the alternatives that aren't that much more money. I can't do it. What say you?
Yeah, there was a report that came out that said 70 to 80 pitches. So knowing the Dodgers, that's 70 to me. So on a slate where we need value and pricing is so tough, I feel like this is the toughest price slate that we've had this season on DraftKings anyway. I don't see myself playing Buehler. But I understand why, Chris is saying we need to be looking at Buehler to be different, because this is a guy that in 5 innings and 70 pitches can strike out, 7-8 guys at 5% ownership compared to 18 and 40. So I understand the reasoning. I can't pay $10K for a guy that's going to throw probably 70, maybe 75 pitches here.
Yeah. My take is simply this. It's simply the fact that all these guys are overpriced for this point in the season, right? Yes, DeGrom is going to have a longer leash, but we're also, it's not going to be certainly as long as it would be later on in the season, right? So this is the time to get away. And I think that Walker Buehler could have some extremely efficient innings with some strikeout upside, and he's going to get, very little ownership tonight. So that's all I'm saying. That's kind of the play. I think they're all overpriced, all 3 of them.
Yeah, and as far as Cole, pretty good K matchup. I wanted to go ahead and show off the plate IQ. Unfortunately, my screen share is not working, so maybe tomorrow we'll make that work. My bad, my apologies. But plenty of Ks there in that lineup. Collectively, a strikeout 22.1%. Cole, of course, led the league last year in strikeout percentage by 4% over everybody else, which is just ridiculous. I know he hasn't exactly had that game just yet this year, but I think he double-digit Ks. I'm throwing it out there. He's going to get 10+ tonight. I think that was my bold call in the expert survey today. I think I put 12 because I was feeling ambitious, but I think Cole just absolutely smashes this evening. I'm fine with DeGrom. Tougher matchup there against Atlanta. Obviously hotter there as well, too. Probably some better bats as well. Working our way down, Stevie. Well, let's get the Montas conversation out of the way, because he's 7.2K on DK. He makes a ton of sense as an SP2. And if you want to play a couple guys in the mid-tier, Montas, then we'll talk about the pivots off Montas. I guess the the pitchers for the Cub game and the Kansas City game, Duffy. And who else do we have there? Pitching for Chicago's Mills. But let's knock out Montas. Who wants to talk about Montas?
I'll talk about him first. The lineup came out 25.5% strikeout rate since the start of last season on these guys. Like, it's a really heavy strikeout lineup. It's a great pitcher's umpire. There's not a lot of ways to be different on this slate as far as bats go. So, like, I'll be underweight on Montas in tournaments, but I think you play him in cash games. I don't see a reason not to play him in cash games. He's cheap as an SP2. I'll probably not play him on FanDuel because I do think it's really easy to get like Cole if you want Cole on FanDuel. But I outside of like just playing the leverage game and playing the ownership, like this is a guy that's going to be like 45 to 50% owned in tournaments. And let's be different, right? But yeah, like Kurt, what are you thinking when it comes to Montas?
I love Montas. I don't care about the ownership tonight. I'm just gonna pound. I'm just gonna hammer the good play here tonight and get as much of them as I can because take advantage of this mispricing. I mean, basically before his suspension, we were looking at, a really solid 3.76 Sierra, 26% K percentage. Granted he may have been juiced up a little bit. But that's another thing. I like my guys juiced up. I like that. I like that's a positive to me if I'm thinking about that. But anyway, he's got his fastball. He's in like the close to 80th percentile from speed. He's or in a spin rate, higher than that from a speed. It's 90 plus percentile. He's also got, he throws a lot of his sinker. He's has a really nasty slider, right? I love guys with a really nasty slider. He's cheap. He's facing this as another overachieving, really bad offense, and that's a theme I'm going to be with tonight on the Seattle Mariners. I've heard a lot of people say they're not that bad. They're pretty good. They've definitely banged up some pitchers so far early in the season, but this is a team that I want to attack. His price is ridiculously cheap. He's got the K upside, so I'm all in with him tonight.
Yeah, pulling up the plate IQ, you got to love that Seattle lineup. The two guys that strike out the least are Crawford and Seager at 19.9% and 19%. Everybody else collectively, as far as the Seattle bats, 25.5%. Malik's at 26%, Nola at 26%. CEO of Team Girth, Vogelbach, cracked the lineup at 26%. Yeah, he's got a lot of power when he gets a hold of it, but he's going to strike out a fair bit as well, too. Lewis, the youngster, small sample size, 34% Ks. I know he's banged out some homers, flashing some power, and he's a bit of a prospect, but there's still some holes in this game. He's still kind of figuring it out. Yeah, it just makes a lot of sense. I know Cheese talked about in his article today, maybe going underweight, and there are some interesting pivots. Stevie, let's talk about the pivots. Who's your preferred pitcher in Wrigley today?
In Wrigley, I like both of them. I'm going to be playing both of these guys. Like when you're looking at the matchup for both of them, it's fine. Like Alec Mills, we still don't know what to expect from him over the course of like a 60-game season, but we got the wind blowing in. The Royals lineup is not super scary. I think he is definitely in play. And then Danny Duffy on the other side, like it's a scary lineup, like on paper, but and people are afraid to play lineups like pitchers against the Cubs. But when you like start digging into the matchup, like there's 4 or 5 guys in this lineup that strike out a ton. No Chris Bryant again. So listen, I always worry about, or Chris Bryant's back in the lineup. I really worry about like Javi Baez. Like he's a guy that I'm super scared of because he hits the ball where the wind won't matter. But overall, I like both these guys. I like Carlos Rendon more than I like both of these guys, though. I am going to be playing a ton of him today.
All right, talk about Carlos.
The matchup is fantastic. The Brewers stink. Like this lineup is nothing like it was. You talked about Moustakas not being there. Kane's out. Braun's hurt. Like there's somebody else too.
Sogard is important because he's a pest. He's not going to homer, but he's hard to strike out, and he'll take 9 or 10 pitch at bats. He's not in the lineup either.
Yeah, there's somebody else that the Brewers had too that I can't think of right now. But like this whole lineup, like you're worried about 2 guys really, like Healy, Grandal. That's who it was. But yeah, like Healy, he really hasn't shown us much. Like he can homer, but like you're really worried about like 2 or 3 bats here. The rest of this lineup stinks. you obviously always worry about the walks when it comes to Carlos Rendon, but like the strikeout, like tell me another pitcher in this price range that has a 28.6% K rate. I'll wait.
Yeah, my issue is, like you said, it's like he's pitching against himself. It almost doesn't matter who's in the box. That's sort of my concern with him. Like, he tends to labor. He can have those 100 pitch, 4 2/3 games. But, there's definitely some upside there. We've been waiting for this to happen. Like, seems like forever, and he's shown us some moments for sure. Curtis, your thoughts as far as Rodon and like compare him versus the guys pitching him regularly?
First thing we should do, let's look up the umpire situation. Do you
I
have
think it's out
a,
yet.
It's a Monday, so he might not have it just yet. New series are starting.
okay.
We normally get that a little bit late. Then the next day, when they stick around, then we kind of know they rotate. So
All right. So we won't look that up. But
I was trying to buy some time because I know Stevie said something on umpires, so maybe some of the data's out there.
There's
I
a
don't
couple
know.
games that are out, but I looked before the show and the White Sox wasn't up yet.
yeah, I don't see it. So that would be something to take note of. But I'm on board with them. I like they're my pick on the Sharp Side app. I think he's got good stuff. I think he's determined to be a starter this season, to get back to where he was. He coming back from Tommy John. He's got the full repertoire. He's just got to stay in, his command has to be there. And that's a big if, but I think against the Brewers, it's a perfectly good matchup with this watered down. I mean, Healy is a guy who's always hit left-handed pitching pretty good, but he's always had a high strikeout rate. Keston Hiura's got a high strikeout rate. Avisal Garcia is a high K guy. And it's just, you just go down the jerk store. I mean, so Manny Pena, did Ben Gamble make the lineup?
But Jerk Store's another dude. He's not.
Yeah, he's in there.
Right?
Gamble's in
Yeah,
there.
Ben Gamble, hottest hitter in baseball. Him and who's the guy on Philly? He's some no name. Gosselin.
Oh yeah.
These two guys are tearing it up. But anyway, give me all the Rodon today. I do, like you said, I do like Alec Mills. Alec Mills is a guy that, he's just pretty safe, it seems like, but he's talented. He's got some pedigree to him. His swinging strike rate is there. It's up there with, close to Walker Buehler level. And granted, it's a small sample. He only, pitched really 10 games worth. But anyways, decently high swinging strike rate, decently high K rate. And just another team that he can take advantage, and he doesn't give up a ton of power. And like you said, the wind's blowing in, suppressing it. And I just feel better with him as opposed to the other side. Danny Duffy is a guy who's, yes, he's a pretty good pitcher, but this is a guy who does give up a lot of power. And this Cubs lineup, it's hit or miss, and they certainly can let you down with the best of them. And yes, the wind will be blowing in, but these guys hit left-handed pitchers extremely well, right? These are some of the best hitters against left-handed pitching in the game. It's Baez, it's Bryant, it's Contreras for a catcher. Bodie's in the lineup. So this is just not a lineup I really want to pick on.
All right, a couple notes. So we have one umpire, and it's for Montas, and he has an extreme pitchers umpire. And I'm not somebody who obsesses over my umpire data, but he's a guy that I want to have the corners. I need Montas getting the corners, so that makes you feel a little bit better about him. Makes him a little bit trickier to fade as an SB2 on DK. Certainly not for cash. He's my SB2 or SB2 there. I think Paddock is kind of sort of somewhat interesting on DK just because of the price. He's super talented, obviously. Who wants to pick on the Dodgers? They're a little bit weaker today without Betts, who's dealing with a finger. He did not crack the lineup, but Seager is in, who was a little bit banged up. Still a really good lineup. A lineup that actually rakes against righties. And Paddock, pretty distinct splits too. So I prefer to have a bunch of righties. That's not the case, but the price is cheap enough for me to consider him because I think he's a talented player. Stevie, we got to move on. Your thoughts on Paddock? Anybody else, or just wrap up pitching?
Don't play right-handed pitchers against the Dodgers. I don't care if Mookie's in there or not. Like, it's never really a win-win situation, is it?
Oh, look, it's not for the fan of heart. It's just that Paddock's talented. The price is cheap.
I'd rather pay up and play Buehler on a pitch count than play Paddock.
I wouldn't do that. That's just, Buehler probably.
Here's the answer. You put them both in the same lineup.
No.
There you go.
You still play Buehler today.
I'll pass, but yeah, no.
Stevie, give me a summary as far as pitching today.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement. Like, you have the top arms up there. I think we kind of skipped over Mike Soroka. He's a really good real life pitcher. I don't love him in this matchup at his price. If he was a little bit cheaper, maybe he'd be in play. Mills, Montas, Rendon, Duffy, all in their own right in play on this slate. I like the stance by Kirkwood on if I'm going to play Montas, I'm just going to be way overweight. So I don't hate that idea. Dean, no? Maybe? Well, that's fine. We don't need Dean, do we? Like, we don't need Dean. Like, who's Dean?
Dean, you're there?
Yeah, we'll move on. He'll pick us
I'm
up
not
here in a
sure
second.
if you guys can hear me, but I'm messing with my speakers right now. I'm messing with my earbuds. So feel free to talk about some catchers while I figure this out because I'm not really good with technology.
All right, we'll move on to catcher. Kirk D's. Like,
I just want to throw one Yahoo tip out there, which is this is for the GPP stuff. It's not going to be like my main lineup Yahoo anyone's playing, but Lewis Thorpe is $25 on Yahoo. He's overpriced on DK. He's not in consideration. Talk about a guy who's not going to have pitch, not going to go a lot of innings here, but this is a guy who could have extremely efficient innings. So if you want to try to load in all the bats, you could play him and Rodon and get away with it over there. So I just want to throw that out there.
Am I back, guys? I can hear you guys. Can you all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Awesome. Well, I bought some.
We should have messed with him. I should have said, like, we should have just gone on the catcher like we couldn't hear him.
Just totally ignore me.
Oh, I should have messed with him.
Yeah, I bought some new earbuds and I keep buying them and they don't seem to work for me. I'm just terrible at technology. But all right, let's talk about some catchers. FanDuel specific, you don't play catchers, but Garver is 2.5K over there. He is a cash game staple. He's a great play. Otherwise, on DK, he is hiked up on FanDuel. On Yahoo, I believe it is as well. What are we doing at catcher, Steve? We just getting in as cheap as possible and getting out, or obviously in tournaments you can spend up on a guy like Garver. If you think Gary Sanchez is going to hit the ball one of these days, maybe he bangs it out today. Who knows? But he's obviously been in a bit of a funk to start the season. Catcher, Stevie, enjoy it. What do you want?
Yeah, I hate paying up for catcher, but Garver is like one of the best plays on the slate. He's a lock on FanDuel, like you said. Like, he's just a fantastic play over there. So I like Garver. If you want to save some money, I like James McCann, Brett Anderson, soft toss and lefty. Those are honestly the two guys that I'm looking at. I don't really have any interests. I think Austin Nola is a little interesting. If you're not playing Rendon, I think Manny Pena is a little interesting. Like, if you want to save some money on Stallings, like going down to those guys, I don't hate that idea. If you've been playing Gary Sanchez, play him. If you haven't been and you've been fading him, just keep fading him. And when he beats you at that, double home run night, like, you're fine. But I think catcher is, a simple position on this slate for me.
The martingale strategy with Gary Sanchez. Jump in here. What do you have me, Kirkies, as far as catchers?
Martingale. I love that strategy. I use it way too much.
Very dangerous.
It works so well until it doesn't.
And then forget it. Go home. That's it. We're probably gone. But yeah.
Yeah. Mitch Garver, clear number one catching option if you can get him. So this guy has extreme splits as it gets. So he's just an incredible hitter. That's why he's hitting leadoff against left-handed pitching. Holland is a guy that we can pick on a little bit here. I think he's a must play on FanDuel, but he's fine. He's decently cheap enough on Yahoo where you plug him in, and on DK he's 4,400, so you can get away with plugging him in there too. He's the guy you want. I like Stevie's call with Austin Nola. I think it's also a way, like on DraftKings, to kind of differentiate yourself a little bit, to play him against Montas, to actually play a hitter against your pitcher, because he's going to be so chalky anyway that it's just a way to provide differentiation, and he's still a good value. Wilson Contreras, people may shy away from, but he's batting cleanup, because of that wind blowing in, but I still like him at 4,500. And then the last guy would be maybe Grandal, I guess, even though you don't get the preferred split, he still hits lefties decently well. Bullpen behind there. White Sox are a team I'm really high on tonight. I think this lineup is extremely strong. He's right there in the middle of it. So those are the guys. Gary Sanchez, no thank you. I don't know how many people have been watching his at bats, but this guy is lost at the plate. I think he got like his first hit the other night, but these aren't good hits. This guy is, he might come back, and it might hurt me if he, like Stevie said, if he double dongs, but there's no way I'm touching this guy right now.
I just want to throw this out there. Holland, not a big sample last year, but he gave just basically 3 homers per 9 versus righties. 19 of his 20 homers was worth right-handed power. Garver, massive splits as well. We'll talk about Sano later. We'll talk about Cruz later. We'll talk about Sano on DK specifically because that's first base. Stevie, we're on first base, and I suppose the cash spot is Belt or it's Murphy. He's first base eligible on DK. Flores cracked the lineup despite the fact that it's against a righty. McMahon as well, pretty pricey, but it is Coors Field. We have a 13.5 total. And I know in the expert survey you like Sano, and I like Sano too. I don't know how it's hard to get him outside of a stack. You can one off him as well, but talk about your first baseman.
Why is it? It's not hard to get to him. There's some cheap bats that you can play, and we'll talk about. But yeah, Sano is probably my favorite play. You said Brandon Belt is like your cash game staple. Like, I get it, and I still think Sano's the better play. I know the game's in Coors, and that's fine, but Sano against Derek Holland doesn't strike people out. When Sano makes contact, it's hard contact. Jose Abreu at 4.2K against Soft Toss and Anderson. Abreu smashes sinkers. Anderson generates a lot of ground balls because of his sinker. I love the fact that the White Sox, I kind of said it when I did the GPP like stacked tags today, that I was hoping the White Sox came in under-owned, and it's looking like that might be the case. But I like the White Sox a lot. I love the Twins and the White Sox on the slate in general. I like Oakland. I think Matt Olson comes in at one of the lowest owned players on that Oakland stack, and it's because he's the most expensive. But yeah, I think there's a ton of first base options that are not Brandon Belt, and the fact that like he's the only guy projected over 10% makes this slate at first base wide open.
Yeah, sample's not huge as far as Sheffield, but he was vulnerable to lefties last year. Olsen showed the ability at lefties as well last year, and he's going to be just nobody's going to own him. And as far as the expert survey, again, I'm going to reference that. It's weird to say Olsen's like a sneaky homer guy, but nobody plays lefty on lefty, and I think Olsen's pretty interesting. And it's just 5%, something like that, an 8-game slate. Yeah, why not grab yourself at least a share of that? And I saw somebody in chat talking about Oakland. I like them as a mini stack as well, too, with Chapman and Canna, and I guess Pinder, sure, too. And Semien, well, sure. There you go. There's 5 guys I think I mentioned. We got to pick up the pace here, Kirk Dees. Give me some first baseman you like.
Sano. I'm going to keep it short and simple. Sano is my guy.
There you go. not paid by the word.
You said you want to keep it. We got to speed things up. That's who I'm playing tonight, pretty much everywhere.
Yeah. You said Belt stuff, so yeah, process of elimination there.
Daniel Murphy, I don't mind. I'm full fade on Brandon Belt and Ryan O'Hearn for the cheap play on DraftKings.
Luis Reyes is 3.2K on DK at the Keystone position, second base, Stevie. Don't necessarily love him, but he's in a good spot. Not a lot of power, obviously. Probably needs more than one AB to make things happen, unless he comes up with the bases loaded and he puts one on the gap or something like that. But if he gets on, pretty decent chance he scores as well too, with all the boppers behind him. And we live in the world of a salary cap, so Reyes is almost definitely going to be my cash game second baseman. What say you?
I'll say Chad Pinder. Justice Sheffield, way overhyped, probably 2 or 3 years early right now. I think Chris Owings is going to be really popular too against Johnny Cueto. We don't love playing Chris Owings against righties, but 3.4K. I think a lot of people are going to be paying down at second base today. You just look at the options at second base, and I think a lot of people end up paying down. For that reason, I think Max Muncy is an awesome tournament play. I know it's Paddock. I get it. But I think Paddock is elite against righties and slightly above average against lefties. And I'm a huge Chris Paddock fan. But Muncy for tournaments to be really different. But outside of that, I love Pender, love the Minnesota guy. Owings if you're wanting somebody different. But Owings is projected as the highest owned second baseman right now in DraftKings.
Pinder batting 6th in that Oakland lineup. Semien, Loreno, Canna, Chapman, Olsen, Pinder, Davis, Piscotty, and then Murphy. I agree with all that you said. And I love that Muncy call because people are just going to be paying down at second base because it makes a ton of sense. You can throw Pinder in the outfield on DK for what it's worth at 2.9K. It's no way to make things work for you. But All right, Kirk Dees, be as succinct as you'd like. Second base.
Second base, I'll echo the Chad Pinder thoughts. So Oakland is like probably my second favorite stack on the slate. I think they absolutely go off tonight. Justice Sheffield, completely overrated. Definitely has some pedigree, but this kid throws 3 pitches: a sinker, a change, and a slider. One thing that I've been monitoring for a while is that Oakland, the one kind of pitching that they can't handle for some weird reason, I don't know why, it shocked me when I learned this, is really high heat, which is why I was really high on Kikuchi the other day, who's throwing up like 96, 97 right now. And this is not who Justice Sheffield is. Justice Sheffield's going to be like 90, 92 miles an hour all night and lower, and try to throw these guys off. And these guys are going to just crack him. So Chad Pinder, awesome when he has the platoon. So really like that. Other than that, going down, I might just go all the way down and go to Adrianza.
Yeah,
at bottom of the lineup at 2,600. I don't want to play Araz. There's just not a ton of upside. Yeah, he can get on, but without the platoon, I don't really like him there. I don't really like Owings. I know he's going to be popular. I mean, if he beats me, so be it. But so why not go all the way down? But a guy that I wouldn't mind playing is David Bodie against Duffy. I know you guys don't like the bats because of the wind and whatnot, but he's cheaply priced at 3,500. He's got pop. If he gets a hold of one, I don't care what the wind's doing.
I like that Stevie said nobody likes playing Chris Owings versus a righty. I thought there was going to be a period just after Chris Owings. I don't care who he's facing. He's terrible, but yeah. But he is playing in cores and he's cheap, so I get it. Hot corner, third base, Stevie. What do you have for me?
And you go back to if Owings was facing a lefty at this price in cores, how high would he be owned? He's already 24%. So, listen, third base, I think there's a ton of options. You got Chapman to be super contrarian at the top because if you're paying up, a lot of people are going to be playing Arenado or Longoria. I like Moncada a lot. I love Marwyn Gonzalez today. Again, I love Minnesota. Playing Marwyn Gonzalez more in the outfield than at third base because of so many great options at third base. But my player pool at third base is kind of smaller than I had thought it was going to be at the beginning of the day. But yeah, I like Chapman. I love Kirk Dees when he brings out these random stats, and Justice Sheffield's not going to blow it by anybody. So I was already on Oakland. Now I like them more. Love the fact that Oakland team ownership is 3% because they're so pricey. It's a way. If you're playing Montas, it's a way to play Montas with a low owned stack. So I like Chapman. I like Oakland. Nolan Arenado is probably the best play on the slate against Cueto, but I like some of these other guys a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm doing my best to prioritize Arenado and get on my cash games. Third base, what do you have for your Kirk Dees?
Yeah, Arenado, definitely the number one. Cheap guy, if you need him to fill in. Marwyn Gonzalez, batting 6, 2,900. A guy could get a hold of one. Chris Bryant, I'm probably past there. On Yahoo, if you have to, you can go Donovan Solano just because of the Coors environment and the price. But I think it's Chapman, like Stevie said, and it's Arenado. Moncada, I like. Moncada just won't get the ownership because no one likes to play him without him batting lefty. But I don't expect Anderson to go very long. They'll rip into that bullpen. He's got upside from each side of the plate. So I think that's a good way to differentiate tonight.
Milwaukee is one of those teams where it's important who you're facing. If you have the lead, if you don't have the lead, if you're catching up, it's much tougher against those arms. Milwaukee, if you get to the weaker part of that pen, basically avoid Hader. If it's a 4-3 game and they're down, I don't like that Chicago stack, but then they only have 3 runs anyway. So why would you like it? All right. Succinct. Let's go. Shortstop, Stevie.
Whoever you can fit. I think if you have the money, you play Story. I don't think it's any question. I think shortstop's the worst position on the slate. Javi Baez, if you want to be a little different than playing Story, like I said, he's the one guy that I'm super worried about if I'm playing Duffy on this slate. But this is probably one of the reasons why Owings is going to be so popular because shortstop is just so weak on this slate. If you're not paying up for Story, maybe Simeon or Baez, like you're just playing whoever you have the money for at shortstop. Like it's my last position on like every team that I made so far.
Yeah, I played Story he's in my shell lineup on DK, and I don't like what he's doing to my outfield, and I think I might have to move him down. But the problem is the mid tier at shortstop's just not very appealing. Brandon Crawford's like a younger Chris Owings. Maybe they're the same age, not really sure. But the point
Find
is
the $400 or go down to Corey Seager if you're gonna play Brandon Crawford. Like go up to Baez or go down. Like Brandon Crawford is just not good at baseball.
Yeah, I don't want to play him. Owings a 3-4, I guess you can. Seager, I don't really want to pick on Paddock, but yeah, if you're going to pick on him, pick him with a lefty. Not a great ballpark for lefty power there, San Diego, better for righty power, but Seager's pretty solid. Not really getting a discount on that price either. Semion's super expensive. I know on FanDuel you can get Newman at 2-3, batting second versus Thorpe. I like that as a full punt. Crawford's pretty cheap too, but he's not very good, but he's playing in cores. Kirk Dees, what do you have for me as far as shortstops?
The same as you. It's Trevor Story is the one you want. Marcus Semien should definitely be in play. Especially, I love Oakland. I love him against left-handed pitching. The cheap guy on DraftKings would be Cole Tucker if you really need it. I don't know. It's tough to you're giving up a lot there, but he is leading off. And then that's it. That's kind of my pool.
Give me some
Brandon Crawford on Yahoo is the min price.
$7.
Yeah, I will I will play him if I have to there.
Begrudgingly.
Yes.
Nelly Cruz boomstick at home versus a lefty against Derek Holland, who just absolutely gets annihilated versus lefty, so he's an awesome play. Kirk Dees, give me a couple outfielders you like.
Another cheap guy, like I said, you could use him at third. You can use him in the outfield as Marwyn Gonzalez. The White Sox, you can go Luis Robert. Is it Robert?
I don't know. I don't listen to
is it a French spell? Is Robert?
I'm not sure, but I feel like I've heard it both ways, and I don't want to say. I don't want to commit just yet. I should know this as a
Chad Pinder's outfield eligible. Jake Cave is for he's been crushing the ball. However, you don't get the platoon, but if you do get into that bullpen, 2,600 down there certainly has pop that can do something. And then obviously the hottest hitter in baseball, 6 homers in the last 5 games, Aaron Judge, right?
Yeah.
But Aaron Hicks is priced to play at 4,400.
Stevie, jump in here. I will say Buxton. I like Buxton super cheap on FanDuel and on DK. 3K on DK. I think it's like 2.3 or 2.4 on FanDuel. Like that a good bit. And like we talk about Minnesota. I know you like Minnesota, Stevie. A lot of cheap bats there outside of a couple dudes, Garver and Cruz and Sano. Everybody else is pretty cheap. What do you have for me, Stevie, as far as outfielders?
Yeah, I think Cruz is the best play on the slate. Like considering cores and everything, Nelson Cruz against the lefty that doesn't really scare you. I think Nelson Cruz is the best play on the slate. Blackman if you're paying up, David Dahl if you're paying up, Aaron Judge obviously. Mark Canha, if you are wanting to be different, he has been hitting the ball really hard and faces Sheffield, who we've talked about multiple times. If you're stacking Minnesota, I don't mind going like Max Kepler to be different in that Minnesota stack. Kind of the same thing that Kurt was saying about Jake Cave. So cheap wise, Marwyn Gonzalez, Chad Pinder, you guys nailed those guys. I think like an Alex Gordon is off the wall a little bit. He's a guy that can get you 2 hits at 3.1K against Mills. Probably not going to hit a home run, but can do just as much damage. But Jake Cave at 2.6, if I'm going to play one of these guys, I'm probably just going to go down and play Cave, even in a lefty-lefty, because I don't expect Holland to go really deep in that game.
All right, couple minutes before we step aside and make way for crunch time for premium members here at RotoGrinders.com. Again, feel free to like and subscribe. We do much appreciate that. Kevin Roth will give you a weather update on crunch time and cheese. Cheese is good. Cheese is good. 2-time millionaire winner in baseball is going to give you the analysis as well for the premium members. Give me some stacks, Kirkies.
Oakland, definitely going off tonight. And then the White Sox.
Prioritize the outfield bats and cores. Power rank them for me.
Blackman, number 1. Dahl, number 2. And then, that's it. I'm fading this San Fran side.
All right, Stevie, chime in on that if you want, and give me some stacks you like.
Yeah, I'd go Blackman, Dahl, Kemp, then Yaz. I think Yaz could come in low owned at that price on DraftKings just because of the way the slate is. We'll see. Stacks for me, like I've said it many times. It's Minnesota and the White Sox for me. I like the Yankees stack. I think they're starting to look like they're going to come in a lot lower owned than I had thought, as far as like the Yankee stack goes. So like those are the three teams outside of like I have a Oakland stack on both sides too.
Kirk Dees, we got to go. Give me something profound. Give me something bold. Give me a hot take. Give me something that's going to break the slate.
8+ runs by the A's tonight. Top stack.
That wasn't that hot. That was kind of lukewarm. Stevie, see that and raise it.
Carlos Rodon is the highest scoring pitcher at the end of the night. He
There you
outscores
go.
Cole, DeGrom, all those guys.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that's not true, but that is definitely a hot take. All right, we got to step aside. We got to go. Thank you, Devin, for producing the show. Stay tuned again for Crunch Time. If you guys are RG members, you got Jesus Good. You got Raw talking about the weather. He is Kirk Dees. He is Stevie. I was Dean. This was baseball. We're out of here. Holler.